Chapter 5, the Nephilim. Dennys was sleeping fitfully when he heard the tent flap move. He opened his eyes and could see only the small light of a stone lamp coming toward him. He called out in alarm. Who is it? Yalith or Holobama would not have needed the light. He felt a gentle pressure, something soft touching his arm, and realized that it was a mammoth. He vaguely remembered seeing a mammoth when he had been in the big tent. A bearded man squatted beside him. We thought you might like Sela or a mammoth for company. Now that you're getting better, thank you, Dennys said. Who are you? Yala's father, Noah. It was not always easy for Dennys to remember where he was. When his fever rose, he thought he was at home and dreaming. When the fever dropped, he understood dimly that somehow or other he and Sandy had precipitated themselves into a primitive desert world inhabited by small brown people. He remembered Yalith, the beautiful tiny person with amber hair and eyes who tended him gently. He remembered the slightly older person, and at least part of her name, Oholi, who poured first water and then unguents and oils onto his skin, and who seemed to know what to do to make him feel better. He remembered Japheth, Oholi's husband, who, like a shepherd, had carried Dennys to his tent, which she thought of as a strange kind of hospital. He had not seen Yala's father since he had been taken, half dead, from the big smelly tent to the smaller choir to one. The piece of linen he had been given to lie on helped protect his raw, healing skin. Even so, it hurt to move. He shifted position carefully. My brother Sandy, how is he? Almost as well, I am told. Noah's deep voice was kind. The name had a familiar ring in this unfamiliar world, but Dennys cannot place it in his fever-muddled mind. The man continued, the women tell me he has made new skin. You too will be well soon. Dennys sighed. That was still hard to believe, with the remains of his skin coming off in painful patches, leaving oozing misery until dark scabs form. When can I see my brother? As soon as you are well. Not long. Where is he? As you have been told, in my father Lamech's tent. I keep forgetting. That is from the sun fever. Yes, brain fever. I think it used to be called in India. India? Oh, well, that's a place on our planet where the British, people with skin like mine, used to go to. Muck around with white men's burdens and stuff and built an enormous empire. Anyhow, they couldn't take the sun, and their empire is gone. Thank you for taking such good care of me. How did you know the right things to do for burns? It was mostly common sense, the man said. Holobama can tell with her fingers how much fever you have, and we try to cool you accordingly. And she consulted with the seraphim about the use of herbs. Who are the seraphim? Dennys asked. The stocky brown man smiled. You are better. This is the first time you have asked questions. You have been to see me before? Several times. Sela snuggled up against him, and he put his arm around her, and his skin was healed enough so that her fur did not scratch and hurt. And seraphim? They are sons of El. We do not know where they came from or why they are here. Are they angels? You have angels where you come from? No, Dennys said, but we don't have mammoths or virtual unicorns either. I am not as much of a skeptic as I used to be. Skeptic? Someone who doesn't believe in anything that can't be seen and touched and proved 100%. Someone who has to have a laboratory proof. Lab what? Oh, well, I guess you can't prove virtual particles any more easily than you can prove virtual unicorns. What kind of unicorns? Oh, just what I call them. The man interrupted. Are you feverish again? No. Dennis touched the back of his hand to his cheek, which felt quite cool. Sorry, your name is what? Noah. How many times do I have to tell you? Noah. Noah and the flood. So they were on their own Earth after all, and not in some far-flung galaxy. Somehow or other, he and Sandy had been flung through time into the pre-flood desert. That was a lot better than being in some unknown corner of the universe. Or was it? I wish I had a Bible, he said. Perhaps you need a drink of something cool? I'm all right. I'm sorry. There would not have been a Bible in Noah's time. Probably not even a written language. Not yet. Neither Dennis nor Sandy had given much of their concentration to Sunday school, but didn't go in for stories. No? He remembered their mother reading to them every night until too much homework got in the way. What did she read? Stories. Greek and Roman myths. Indian tales, Chinese tales, African tales, fairy tales, Bible stories. Who was Noah? Noah and the flood. Noah built an ark and took his wife and their sons' wives and many animals onto the ark. What about Yalef? He couldn't remember anything about Yalef or Oholibama, Japheth. Maybe that had a familiar ring. Shem, yes, maybe, but not Elisheba. Elisheba was all right. She had rubbed ointment all over him one day, matter-of-factly, when something had taken Yalef and Oholi away, not flinching separating sores, the crusting scabs. She had talked through at and around him the day she had attended him in the hospital tent, and he remembered her muttering something about it being ashamed to leave the old grandfather all alone in his tent with only a mammoth to take care of him. Stila snuggled against Dennis's shoulder. He continued to try to think. There was Shem, and there was Ham. He barely remembered a small pale man and a red-headed woman in the big tent the first night. Is Higayon all right? He asked suddenly. Higayon? Noah sounded surprised. He's helping take care of your brother. Are there many mammoths around? Dennis asked. Very few. Many have been eaten by manticores, and most of the rest have fled to where they feel safer. Noah shook his head. It is a hard time for mammoths. Hard times are coming for us all. Ellis told me that. Dennis frowned. This pre-flood world was weird. Mammoths, manticores, virtual unicorns, seraphim, and... who are the Nephilim? He asked. Noah pulled at his beard. Who knows? They are tall, and they have wings, though we seldom see them fly. They tell us that they come from El, and that they wish us well. We do not know. There is a rumor that they are like falling stars, that they may be falling stars flung out of heaven. Seraphim too? We do not know. We do not know how it is that their skin is young and not yet shriveled from the sun, though they are ageless, it would seem, older even than my grandfather Methuselah. Old as Methuselah. It had a familiar ring, vaguely. Dennis shifted on matron's linen cloth. The remnant of his bundle of clothes had been found and taken by Japheth and Oholibama to be aired and put away. In this hot land, he would not need flannel shirts or cable-knit sweaters. He had been given a soft-kid loincloth, and Yalef had told him that Sandy had been given one too. In this tent where he was recovering, the stench was less disturbing than in the big tent. Yalef had bathed him with water scented with herbs and flowers. Oholibama had rubbed him with fragrant ointment. Both young women were reticent about where they came by the perfumes, and Dennis thought he had heard Yalef saying something about Anna and Mala. Anna. Ham's red-headed wife, he reminded himself. Mala was Yalef's sister who, it appeared, seldom came home. Who were all these people he did not remember as being part of the story? He needed Sandy. Sandy might be able to suggest some way for them to get home before the flood. How much had Miss L told Noah? Noah said, El has told me that these are end times for us all. Perhaps we will have a great earthquake. An earthquake? Noah shrugged. The mind of El is a great mystery. Is he good, this El? Good and kind, slow to anger, quick to turn again and forgive. But you still think he's going to nuke everybody? What's that? You think he's going to send some big disaster and wipe everybody out? Noah shook his head. It is true, as El says, that people's hearts are turned to wickedness. Yellis isn't, Dennis said. Oholabamas and Japis aren't. I'd be dead if it wasn't for them. And for my wife, Matron, Noah added. I might not have let you stay in my tents had it not been for Matron. He looked thoughtfully at Dennis. Sometimes I have wondered why I let the women insist on keeping you, but I think you mean us no harm. I don't. We don't. Listen, what about my brother? When can I see Sandy? As you have been told, he is in my father's tent. Noah's voice indicated that the subject was now closed. Have you seen him, Sandy? Dennis asked. I do not go to my father's tent. Why not? He's a stiff-necked old man, insisting on staying alone in his own tent with his wells, the best in the oasis. But why don't you go see him? Dennis was baffled. He is old. It is nearly time for him to die. He can no longer tend to his crops. But don't you help him? I have all I can do, taking care of my herds and my vineyards. But he's your father. He should not be so stubborn. Listen, he's taking care of Sandy all by himself. He doesn't have Yeleth or Oholabama to do the nursing, only the mammoth. One of the women takes him a light every night, but he's your father, Dennis protested. Wouldn't he appreciate it if you took him the nightlight? Before Noah's growl became audible, the tent flap shifted and a pelican waddled in, followed by Yeleth. A pelican seemed a strange creature to appear in this desert place. The bird approached Dennis, then opened its enormous bill, and from it flowed a stream of cool, fresh water, filling the large bowl from which the women bathed him. Dennis asked, Hey, you've been here before, haven't you? Yeleth spoke delightedly. He is truly better. He's remembering things. The water felt healing as Yeleth dipped the cloth in it and cooled his skin. She knelt beside him and with the wet cloth touched some of the loosened scabs. They will soon be off. Dennis regarded the pelican. Where did the water come from? From Grandfather Lamech's, and the pelican has been kind enough to bring it to us, flying across the oasis. The pelican nodded gravely to Dennis. Do you have a name? The pelican blinked. Yellow said, when he is a pelican, we usually call him Pelican. When he is a pelican, what else is he? Don't confuse the young giant, Noah said. I can't be much more confused than I am, Dennis expostulated. It was a relief to know that he was still on his own planet. Even so, he felt lost and far from anything familiar. The pelican stretched its angled wings toward the roof hole, raised its beak, seemed to thin out and stretch upward, and suddenly a tall and radiant personage was looking down at Dennis. What? He gasped. A seraph, Yellow said. The glowing skin of the seraph was the color of Yellow's, and there were great silvery wings and hair the color of the wings. Was it a man? A woman? Did it matter? Yet, with Yeleth and Oholabama, and even more with Anna, Dennis was very well aware that he was male and they were female. The seraph raised its wings, then dropped them loosely. Fear not, I am Alarid, and I have been helping with your healing. At last you are getting better. No, don't try to stand. You are still too weak. Strong arms enfolded Dennis, and he was taken out of the tent and lowered onto a soft bed of moss. In the starlight, the moss shimmered like water. There, the seraph said. So, I am Alarim, and you are Beden. Dennis. Dennis Simpler. And your name is Alarim? And what about Oholabama? Alarid smiled gravely. I take your point, Dennys. Forgive me. Now, I have conferred with my companion, Admiral, who has been helping to take care of the sand. Sandy, Alexander. Alexander? Is there not an Alexander who wants to conquer the world? Not in our time, Dennys said. Way back in history. Not as far back as now, but back. Ah, Alarid said. I tend to see things in plates. Now, Dennys, there seems to be considerable confusion over who and what you are and why you are here. In his weakness, Dennys could not hold back the tears which sprang to his eyes. We are 15-year-old boys who come from a long time away. You come from a far time, and yet you speak the old language? The what? The old language, the language of creation, of the time when the stars were made, and the heavens and the waters and all creatures. It was the language which was spoken in the garden. What garden? The Garden of Eden, before the story was bent. It is the language which is still and will be spoken by all the stars which carry the light. Then, Dennys said flatly, I don't know why I speak it. And speak it with ease, Alarid said. Does Sandy speak it too? Dennys asked. Alarid nodded. You were both speaking it when you met Japheth and Higayon in the desert, were you not? We certainly didn't realize it, Dennys said. We thought we were speaking our own language. Alarid smiled. It is your own language, so perhaps it is best that you didn't realize it. Do others of your time and place speak the old language? I don't know. Sandy and I aren't any good at languages. How can you say that? Alarid demanded. Well, you have the gift of the original tongue. Hey, I don't know. Sandy and I are the scores of the family. Our older sister and our little brother are the special ones. We're just the ordinary. Alarid interrupted him. Because that is how you are, or because that is how you choose to be? Dennys looked at the seraph, his eyes widening. What happened to the old language? It was broken at Babel. Babel? The tower of human pride and arrogance. It has not happened yet. In this time you are in now. You do not know the story? Dennys blinked. I think I remember something. People built a big tower, and for some reason, they all began to speak in different languages and couldn't understand each other anymore. It was in, prehistory, and it's a story to, sort of, explain why there are so many different languages in the world. But underneath them all, Alarid said, is the original language, the old tongue, still in communion with the ancient harmonies. It's a privilege to meet one who still has the underhearing. Hey, Dennys said, listen. I guess because we got here so unexpectedly and everything was so strange, and we didn't have time to think, and when we met Japheth, it just seemed natural to speak to him. It's a special gift, Alarid told him. We're not special, neither Sandy nor I. We're just a sort of ordinary kid who gets along without making waves. Where in the future, Alarid asked him abruptly, do you come from? A long, long way, Dennys said. We live at the end of the 20th century. Alarid closed his eyes. A time of many wars. Yes. And the heart of the atom has been revealed. Yes. You have sold your waters and your air. Yes. Because you speak the old language, there must be some reason for you to be here. But for the future to touch the past can be dangerous. It could cause a paradox. How did you get here? I'm not sure. Dennys frowned, then added, our father is a physicist who specializes in space travel, in the tesseracts. Ah, yes, but space travel is supposed to deal with space, not time. Dennys said, but you can't separate space and time. I mean, space/time is a continuum, and Yelith and Noah came out of the tent, and Yelith put her hand lightly against Alarid's. Look, he is very pale. You're tiring him. Be careful of our young giant, Noah warned. Alaric regarded Dennys. You are right. This is enough for tonight. The seraph's eyes were compassionate, and their silver green seemed to darken. I am glad that you are better, and that you are coming back to yourself. Please, be very careful what you say, what you do. Be careful that you do not change anything. Listen, Dennys said, all I want is to go home, to my own time. I'm just grateful to be on my own planet, and I'm not a bit interested in rewriting the Bible. Did Alaric know that there was going to be a Bible? That there was going to be a flood? He looked at the seraph, whose face, serene and severe at the same time, did not change expression. Dennys was willing to accept that Alaric and the pelican who brought the water were somehow one and the same, but he was not willing to accept that his presence in this time and place might have affected anyone except himself, and of course Sandy. Sleep well, Dennys, Alaric said. Yellow that Oholabama will continue to take good care of you. Yalef, Dennys thought. For Yalef, he might be willing to change history. Sandy could not sleep. Not only was the tent hot, but Higain was snoring. Grandfather Lamech was not. Grandfather Lamech was tossing, turning, grunting, sighing. At last, Sandy could not stand it any longer. He crawled over to Grandfather Lamech's sleeping skins. Grandfather, are you awake? What's the matter? The old man grunted. Sandy spoke to him as he would have to Dennys. Come on, I know something's bothering you. What is it? Elle spoke to me. Sandy tried to peer at him through the dark. Did this mean that the old man was about to die right then, that night? But the old man said, great troubles are coming after I die. Terrible things are going to happen. What kind of terrible things? Lamech moved restlessly. Elle did not say, only that men's hearts are evil and hard, and it repents Elle that he has made human creatures. So, what's he going to do about it? I don't know, Lamech said, but I fear for my son and his family. Elle plans to spare no one. I fear for Yalef. I fear for you, Sand, so far from your home. Oh, I can take care of myself, Sandy said automatically, but his words sounded hollow. Yalef and Oholabama came to Dennys in the deep dark just before dawn. You need to get out of the tent into some air, Oholabama told them. You need to exercise. You will never recover until you walk about under the sky. Starlight is healing. Yellow's voice was as gentle, he thought, as a small brook, but there were no brooks in this arid land. He followed them out of the tent. Each took one of his hands, and their hands were small as children's. They walked past the grove which served as outhouse, which was as far from the tent as he had ventured. Beyond them, the large tent was a dark shadow, with the smaller tents clustered about it. His bare feet were still tender, and he walked gingerly. The girls guided him to the smoothest ways until the sharp, dry grasses and pebbles gave way to sand, and they were in the desert. The sand felt cool to the burning soles of his feet. But they paused at a low slab of white rock, which cast a silvery shadow on the sand. Jabeth and I agreed that this is as far as you should go, Oholabama said. Let's sit here and rest for a while. We'll take you back to the tent before dawn. He sat between them on the rock, leaning back on his elbow so that he could look up at the sky. I've never seen so many stars. You don't have stars where you come from? Yalef asked. Oh yes, we have stars, but our atmosphere is not as clear as yours, and not nearly as many stars are visible. Yalef clasped Dennys' arm tightly. It is frightening when the stars are hidden by the swirling sand. Their song is distorted, and I can't hear what they say. What the stars say? Dennys asked. Listen. Yellow suggested. Alara said you were able to understand. At first, Dennys heard only the desert silence. Then, in the distance, he heard the roar of a lion. Behind them, on the oasis, the birds chirped sleepily, not yet ready for their dawn concert. A few baboons called back and forth. He listened, focusing on one bright pattern of stars. Closed his eyes. Listen. Seemed to hear a delicate crystal chiming. Words. Hush, heal, rest, make peace, fear not. He laughed in excitement, opened his eyes to twinkling diamonds. Yellow laughed too. What did they say? They told me, I think, to get well and to make peace. And not to be afraid. At least I think I heard them, and I don't think it was just my imagination. Suddenly he was glad that Sandy was not there. Sandy was pragmatic. Sandy would likely think Dennys was hallucinating from sunstroke. At school, if Dennys got lost in a daydream, Sandy always managed to cover for him. Yes, that's what the stars told you. Yellow turned toward him with a delighted smile, very visible in the starlight. You see, she said to Oholabama, it is not everybody who can listen to the night. If the stars told you to make peace, then perhaps you will be the one to make peace between my father and my grandfather. A big perhaps, Oholabama said, but maybe he can. She turned back to Dennys. What else do you hear? Dennys listened again. Heard the wind rattling the palm leaves like sheets of paper. There seemed to be words in the wind, but he could not make any sense out of them. I can't understand anything clearly. Yellow withdrew her fingers and clasped her hands together, shook her head, opened her eyes. The wind seemed to be talking of a time when she will blow very hard over the water. That's strange. The nearest water is many days away from here. I cannot understand what she is trying to say. The wind blows where she wills, Oholabama said. Sometimes she is gentle and cooling. Sometimes she is fierce and blows in our eyes and stings her skin like insects, and we have to hide in the tents until she is at peace again. It is good, dear Den, that you have not come at a time when the wind blows hot against the sand. You will heal better now, at the time when she is more gentle, and the grapes and gardens grow. They were silent then, listening to the dawn noises becoming louder as birds and baboons began to get ready to greet the day. Tentatively, Dennys reached for Yellow's hand. She gave his fingers a little squeeze, then freed herself and jumped up. It is time we took you back to the tent. This is more than enough for a first excursion. How do you feel? Wonderful. Ben acknowledging. A little tired. It would be good to lie down on the soft linen spread over the skins, to sleep a little, to have something cool to drink. He stifled a yawn. Come. Oholabama held out her strong hands. To his surprise, he needed her help in getting up. When Yellow and Oholabama needed ointments and unguents for Dennys's burned skin, Anna or Mala, if she happened to be home, would take them across the oasis to the close cluster of houses and shops to meet Tigla, Anna's sister. I don't like it, Japheth said to his wife. I don't like your going to such places. She bent toward him to kiss him. We don't go in. I wouldn't take Yaleth into such a place even if Mala. Japheth gave a shout of anger and anguish. What has happened to Mala? Oholabama said softly, we all have choices to make, dear one, and we do not all choose the same way. Why can't I get what you need for you? Oh, love, it is a house for women. You would not be welcome. I have seen men coming out, and Nephilim. Japheth, my own, please don't argue. We'll be all right. Anna is tough. And Mala? Oholabama put her arms around her husband, pressed her cheek against his, did not answer. Mala went with Oholabama and Yaleth less and less frequently because she was less and less often in the home tent. And when she was there, she came in late after everybody else was asleep, but slept late herself and managed to avoid confrontation with Matrid. Matrid herself allowed Mala to avoid her. She was waiting for her daughter to come to her and her husband with Ugil, according to custom, but Ugil did not come, and Mala did not speak, and Matrid said nothing to Noah of Mala's betrothal to a Nephil. Until the betrothal was made formal and recognized by Mala's family, there would be no talk of marriage. Marriages were often casual affairs, no more than an agreement between the two sets of parents, with the bride's mother and father bringing her to the tent of the groom. Matron liked to have things done properly, not overdone, but well done. Yaleth and Mala's two older sisters, Sierra and Hogla, had been taken to their husbands' tents after Matron and Noah had prepared a feast with plenty of Noah's good wine. Elisheba, Shem's wife, had come quietly to Noah's compound and Shem's tent, accompanied by her widowed father, and bearing several gold rings and her teraphim, the small figures of her household gods. Anna, matron said, had had a vulgar wedding with crowds of people, many uninvited. There were musicians, dancers, and far too much wine, inferior at best. Who would dare compete with Noah's wine for far too many days? Such excesses were not only unnecessary, they were unseemly. Cleaning out the big tent with Yala's help, Matron said, I do not understand Mala. Yala shook out a sleeping skin. Neither do I. I wish you would come to speak to you and father instead of avoiding you. Matron fiercely beat the dust out of one of the foreskins. If your father knew what she's up to, he'd be furious. There's something on his mind, something he's not telling me about, or he'd have noticed her strange behavior. You think that this Ogil, that Nephil, you think he means to marry her? I don't know. Yala scrubbed out one of the stone lamps with sand. Mala thinks so. Speak to her, Matron begged. Try to make her see reason. All she needs is to come to us with her Nephil and tell us that they are betrothed, and we will make all the arrangements for a wedding feast. I'll try, Yala said, but I'm not sure she'll listen. Mala had always been closer to and more like the older sisters than Yalith, the youngest, the different one. I'll try, she reassured her mother. The next day, she went with Oholabama and Anna to get a fresh supply of the ointment that softened Dennis's scabs. Perhaps Mala would be with the red-headed Tigla, and Yalith could talk with her then. Anna walked slowly with her usual undulating of hips. Yalith and Oholabama walked on ahead. Tigla frightens me, Yalith whispered to Oholabama. I know she's Anna's sister, and she is probably the most beautiful woman on the oasis, but her beauty is for sale, Oholabama stated flatly. But there's no reason to be afraid of her. They turned onto the narrow path which ran between low white stone buildings. I don't like coming here, Yalith murmured. I don't like it either, Oholabama said. But there is no other way to get the salves for the den. The last of his scabs will be off in a few days. Then we can forget the ointment. The herbal water the pelican brings will be enough. Den is getting better, Yala said. That's one good thing. Only one? Oholabama laughed. Yella shuddered. Everything seems to be changing. Mala avoids her parents, and my father keeps hearing the voice in the vineyards, and whatever it says is upsetting him, but he won't tell us what El says. What El says is good. Oholabama smiled. El said that Japheth was to marry. That is why I am here. You would rather have waited? I love Japheth. Oholabama's voice was tender. I know we were both very young and unready for marriage, but we love each other. When the time comes, we will have children together. Yala sighed. I would like to love someone the way you love Japheth. Be patient, little sister. Your time will come. They had reached the White House with the brightly beaded curtains at the entry, the house where Tigla got the ointments they needed, and they stopped to wait for Anna, who made it very clear that she was doing them a great favor in being the go-between. The beads glittered and jangled, and Tigla came out, followed by Mala. Tigla with her head of radiant red hair, Mala with her cascaded black hair, the two girls starling foils for each other. Where's Anna? Tigla asked. She's coming. Oholabama looked back down to the path where Anna was slowly following them. Mala! Yalith exclaimed. I'm glad to see you. I need to talk to you. Mala raised her hand and pushed back a thick fall of black hair. That's funny. I want to talk to you too. Shall we go inside? No, Yellow drew back. Please, I could have your hair brushed, Mala coaxed, the way Tigla's and mine is, so it would look more beautiful. No, Yellow repeated. Mala shrugged. We can sit over here then, while Anna and Oholabama go with Tigla to get appointment. She led Yellow a little way down the path to a low wall. Yellow, with a sudden and unexpected shock, saw that Mala's usually flat belly was softly rounding. Mala, she urged, please, you and Ugil, please come to our parents and tell them that you're betrothed. Mala's little hands proudly touched the small roundness. And we'll be married soon. Then please come and tell them. Mother will need time to prepare a wedding feast. No, she won't, Mala said. That is not how things are done with the Nephilim. I will have a Nephil wedding. But Mother, again, Mala's little hand stroked her stomach. I'm sorry, really. But she had it her own way with our sisters. She'll probably have it her own way with you. So she'll just have to let me do it my way. But why? Isn't the old way good enough for you? Mala laughed. Customs change. We have to move with the times. There was a slight hiss to her speech which Yellow had never heard before. She sounded more like Ugil than like Mala. The sisters sat side by side on the wall, the silence between them becoming more and more uncomfortable until at last Yellow broke it. What did you want to see me about? Can't you guess? No? Eblis. Yellow looked at her in surprise. But why? He lets you, Mala said. He says he has offered to teach you. No. Why not? I'm taking care of the den. That's why we're here, to get salt for him. Again, Mala sounded more like Ugil than like Yellow's sister. That's all very noble, but it needn't stop you from going out with Eblis. Don't you realize what an honor that is to have Eblis interested in you? She sounded strangely sibilant. I know he does me much honor. Yellow's voice was low. What's wrong then? I have to stay with the den, Yellow whispered. I know you're taking good care of him, but Oholi is there too, isn't she? She is Japeth's wife. She has to be in her own tent. She tells me what to do, but little sister, Mala said, don't be foolish. Yellow looked down at her long straight toes, blurted out, I don't care about Eblis as much as I do about the den and the sand. What? Mala was scandalized. You heard me, but we don't know if they're even human. We know that the Nephilim are not, Yellow retorted. They're more than human, Mala said proudly. The two, what are they? Twins? They seem subhuman. No, Yellow protested. They're human. I know they are. Giants human? Yes. And you think if you start going out with giants, human or no, our parents wouldn't be upset? Everybody loves them. Yes? Anyhow, they're too young, much too young. I know that. Yellow hung her head even lower, but I think back where they come from, years are counted differently than here, and I would be willing to wait. For which one? Mala demanded. A slow flush spread across Yellow's cheeks. She still thought of the twins as one person divided into two places. I saw the sand first, and Grandfather Lamech's tent, and I have helped bring the den back to life when he was nearly dead. That is not enough reason for this stupidity. Eblis can't give you anything you want. Even if I want the twins? Don't be a fool, Mala snapped, and jumped down from the wall as Anna and Oholabama came toward them. Oholabama carrying a small jar. Well, Mala? Anna looked at her pointedly. Are you getting ready to move into your own tent? Mala smiled a secret smile and tossed her head so that the dark hair glinted in the light. I will not have a tent. I will have a house of white stones. She drew back as a snake uncoiled at her feet, spraying a jeweled hood. Ugil, she gasped. For a moment of mirage, the snake seemed to uncoil upward, to raise green lavender wings, to quiver with white skin and amethyst eyes. Then the mirage was gone, and the snake undulated across the path and disappeared into a clump of scrubby palmettos. Yellow reached for Oholabama's hand. Anna gave Mala a malicious smile. Is he playing tricks with you? Mala raised her head proudly. Ugil comes to me. Only when I am alone. She turned back to Yalith, asking in such a low voice that she excluded the others, if it were not for the young giants, would you go with Eblis? I don't know, Yalith said. I don't know. Mala spoke in a louder voice. Tell her parents I'll be sure to let them know when I'm married. Could you bring yourself to tell them beforehand? Yalith begged. Mala shrugged. We'll see. I have to go now. And she turned back to the low white house and shouldered her way through the tinkling curtain of bees. Let's go, Anna said. I have other things to do. And instead of dawdling as she had done on the way in, she strode off impatiently. Oholabama spoke calmly. It's really very good of Anna and of Tigla, too, to get the ointments for us. They aren't doing it for nothing, Yala said. I gave them all my share of the figs, and the crop was good this year, and you gave them all your almonds. Oholabama stated a known fact. Anna and Tigla don't know how to do something for nothing. That's how they are. But Mala wasn't like that, Yalith protested. She's changed. I don't know her anymore. She jumped as a rat scuttled across her toes. Again, there was a flickering of wings and brilliant eyes. And then there was only the sleek body of the rat. Yellow thought of the dragon/lizard Eblis, who could offer her more than she could dream. And then she thought of the twins, of Sandy bowing to her in her grandfather's tent, of Dennys sitting with her at night. Dennys, who was able to understand the language of the stars. And she knew she would never go with Eblis. She turned to see tears in Oholabama's eyes. Oh, holy! She started in surprise. Oholabama reached up to wipe away her tears, smiled her quick smile. But this morning I saw my face reflected in the water jar. Oh, Yalith, little Yalith, I love my father, and now I don't know if he is my father after all. Yalith took her sister-in-law's hand. If you love him, he is your father no matter what. Oholabama nodded gratefully. Thank you, little sister. I needed to hear that. You are my brother's wife, Yalith continued, and my friend. And if the Nephilim are related to the seraphim, which my father believes, then you are like the seraphim. Hurry up, Anna called, and beckoned to them imperiously. We're coming, Oholabama said, and they hurried toward the central section of the oasis, where Noah's vineyards were, and his grazing grounds, and his tents, and where Dennys was waiting for them. The moon set, its path wetter than the desert sands dwindling into shadow. The stars moved in their joyous dance across the sky. The horizon was dark with that deep darkness which comes just before the dawn. A vulture flew down, seemingly out of nowhere, stretching its naked neck, settling its dark feathers. Vultures are underestimated. Without us, disease would wipe out all life. We clean up garbage, feces, dead bodies of man and beast. We are not appreciated. No sound was heard, and yet the word seemed scratched upon the air. A scarab beetle burrowed up out of the sand and blinked at the vulture. It is true. You help keep the world clean. I appreciate you. And it disappeared beneath the sand. A crocodile crawled across the desert, lumbering along clumsily, far from its native waters. It was followed by the dragon/lizard, who stretched his leather wings, showing off. A dark hooded snake slithered past them both. A small brown armored creature, not much bigger than a scarab beetle, scattered along beside the snake. We are invulnerable. We have survived the fire of the volcanoes, the earthquakes that pushed the continents apart and raised the mountain ranges. We are immortal. We cover the planet. A bat, brighter than gold, swooped low over the cockroach. You are proud, and you can survive fire and ice, but I could eat you if I had to. I hope I never have to. And the golden bat soared high, a bright flash against the dark. A tiny mimicry of a crocodile with a blunt nose, a skink scrabbled along beside the crocodile and the dragon/lizard. I am small and swift, and my flesh is not edible and causes damage to the brain. I am the way that I am. That is how I am made. On the skink's back, a flea tried to dig through the armored flesh. I, too, am the way that I am. A shrill whine cut across the clear air. A mosquito droned. I, too, I will feast on your blood. A small slimy worm wriggled across the sand, leaving a thin trail. A slug's vicious path followed. I am not like the snail, needing a house. I am sufficient unto myself. A red ant crawled along the dragon/lizard's wing and held tight as it tried to shake the biting insect off. A rat, sleek and well-filled, wriggled his nose and whiskers and looked at the vulture's naked neck. I, too, ate the filth off the streets. I eat flesh. I prefer living flesh, but I will take what I can get. I, too, help keep the world clean. No sound was heard. Like negative light, the words cracked the desert night. The 12 oddly assorted creatures began to position themselves into a circle. The Nephilim. Oholabama lay in Japheth's arms on a large flat stone, a short walk into the desert. So intent were they at each other that they did not notice the lion pacing past them, the pelican flying high in the sky, the scarab beetle coming out of the sand. My beloved, Japheth whispered into the pearly shell of Oholabama's ear. My mother spoke to me about it long ago. If you have Nephil blood, it explains some of your healing power. But I don't know. It isn't certain. Japheth covered her mouth with his, then pulled back just enough to say, you are my wife, and we are one, and that is all that matters. And they were one, and it was good. Yelith left the tent and went outside to wait for dawn. She had spent over an hour working at Dennys' scabs, carefully pulling off those which were loose enough. Most of the oozing sores had healed. More and more of Dennys' care was given over to her, as Oholabama could trust her to do what the boy needed. Oholabama, after all, had duties in her own tent. Matron prepared meals for the boy, soups, and mashed fruits which were soft enough for him to swallow. But what do we do with him when he is well? Noah asked his wife. He is our guest, Matron said. We ask him what we can do to help him. He wants to go home, Yella said. Yes, but where is home? Her mother asked. Now Yellith crossed one of her father's vineyards, went to the small grove that the women used, and relieved herself, then walked on until she came to where the desert lapped widely against the oasis. She picked up a handful of the fine sand and rubbed it against her palms between her fingers to clean them. The moon had set, and the dawn stars were low on the horizon. She would take a long nap the next day during the heat of the sun. Often, the best sleeping was done then. In the coolness just before morning, she liked to go sit on one of the great exposed rocks and rest, and listen to the slow song of the setting stars. Lamech, her grandfather, had taught her how to listen to the stars. Only Yellith and Japheth, of Noah and Matron's children, could understand the celestial language. Matron tended to think it a waste of time. I have too much to do keeping tent. How else would I keep a soup pot full for the poor who come to us for food? Who would keep a manticore from eating Sela if I didn't have boiling wine to throw in its ugly face? Who would see to it that a great ox eggs aren't stolen? Who else dared to speak to the gorgons and griffins? And what with everybody's appetite, I never have a chance to get away from the hearth. Yellith did her fair share of the work, and now she was doing most of Mala's too, but she needed time to herself to listen to what the stars might have to say. Her father heard a voice in the vineyards, but it seemed to Yellith that in the quiet dawn there were voices all around her, waiting to speak, waiting for her to hear. When the birds woke and started their orchestra, the other voices would be quiet. She was filled with a vague sense of foreboding, but she had to come and listen. When she was not listening for whatever it was that was going to be spoken, she found her mind sliding to thoughts of the twins. As she spent more time with Dennys, nursing him through the chills and fever of his delirium, she saw that the twins might look alike, but they were definitely not one boy and two skins. The twins were often the topic of conversation in the big tent in the evenings, how they were alike and how they were different. It was generally accepted that they must be some strange breed of giant from the other side of the mountains. Although they were immensely tall, they were also unbelievably young. 15, he told me, Matron said one evening when it was she who had taken the lamp to Grandfather Lamech and some of her special broth to Sandy. 15, she repeated to the others in the big tent. At 15, our men are still children. The Sandy and the dead are not babies. I simply do not understand. The dead is certainly not a baby, Yellow replied. Now that he is getting better, he is full of questions. He wants to know what the herbs are that the pelican puts the water and what the salves are made of. The Sam, Elizabeth said, wants to know where the salves come from. They are certainly full of questions. She laughed her hearty laugh and told them that Sandy had wanted to know who ran the oasis, whether they were a mayor or a selectman. The words had no meaning. Elizabeth had told Sandy that those who saw power were greedy, wanting gifts and bribes, and willing to steal from the poor. Shem hunts for us all, and I help with the winemaking, she said contentedly. That is enough for us. We have plenty to eat and to give to those in need. Matron is a good mother to us all, with her fine sons and daughters. Mala and Yalith are not married yet, Matron prodded. They are still young, Noah said. I thought the voice told you, not about Mala and Yalith. They should have time to grow up. I think, Matron said pointedly, that Mala is grown up. Yalith sat on the cool starlit stone, the echoes of the evening's conversation still in her ears. She wondered if Matron had noticed the swelling of Mala's belly, Mala, whose betrothal to the Nephilim was not yet acknowledged by her mother. Yalith was so deep in thought that the stars had to hiss at her to get her attention.